Katie, the Education Director here at Kinkajous Tiger Rescue, and behind the camera today we have Catherine, our curator.
Morning.
Who happened to be the star of our book yesterday.
Oh my.
Funny how she missed out on that one. But yeah, so it is Wednesday, and typically on Wednesday we do Wildcat Wednesday, but today we're doing Wild Kinkajou Wednesday. It is a gorgeous windy day here, so we are going to, hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, just let us know. The wind is blowing, so if it gets a little loud, let me know and I'll yell at you nicely, of course. So we are down at the Kinkajous Habitats Enclosures. The one we have right in front of us is Wednesday, and then behind her is Baxter, and then we'll swing over to see, hopefully Albert's. We'll probably leave Lola alone because Lola says no to a lot of things. So Kinkajous are nocturnal, and so we are potentially waking them up this morning, but I've got some treats to make it all worth it. A little midnight, well, it's not quite midnight for them, but a little snack for them today so that you guys can get a glimpse of our Kinkajous. These guys, well, let's go see if we can find one, and then I'll chat about them. And don't worry, vultures are here too. Be free. Good morning, Wednesday. Hi. So Wednesday is our oldest Kinkajou. She happens to actually be our oldest animal as well. She was born in 1988. Kinkajous are native to Central and South America. She's got a little hiss for us. And I've got Raspberry. So these guys, even though they are technically carnivores because they have those carnassial teeth, they eat primarily fruits, and they're foragers. So the way we feed them is just a little bit different. You gonna come all the way out? She said, I don't know if you know. It's a little bright out there. I'm not supposed to come out right now. So Wednesday actually used to be somebody's pet. Unfortunately, that person, to make her safer, declawed her. So I don't know, Catherine, I know she's coming a little closer. I'm not sure if you can. Oh, just kidding. She's not coming closer. She's going back to bed. Hey, Wednesday, I got Banana. Banana is a good, sweet treat for these guys. So if you can see her paws as she comes out, she is declawed. So we are keeping a close eye on her and giving her medication to help reduce inflammation in those joints from arthritis. You can probably see as to why these guys are big in the pet trade, because they're adorable. But what is important to note is that they are extremely aggressive. So we have a rating system here at Carolina Tiger Rescue as far as how dangerous our animals are. Level 1 means that our keepers can go in with that animal without being shifted, and that would be Makano, our 15-year-old Kawadamundi. He is our least aggressive. Notice I didn't say not aggressive. He, of course, has the potential to be aggressive. Level 2 is all of our small cats. If we need to go in and do anything like give fluids or anything, then a keeper can go in with another staff member and get those guys, give those guys fluids. We, of course, will shift them anyway. And then level 3 is more aggressive, and then level 4 is all of our big cats, which means they have to be shifted. So if we are to go into with them, or we don't ever go in with them, we have to shift them. Our Kinkajous, even though they're our smallest animals, are also our most aggressive animals, some of our most aggressive animals, so they have to be shifted. So the way that this works with these guys, if we need to go in and clean their enclosure, we shift this door closed right here, which I will somewhat demonstrate. I won't completely close her in because she's awake and wanting treats. So we slide this door, we would slide this door closed, we're able to latch it, then we'll go in, lock them inside their den box, and we can safely clean. So we never ever go in with these guys without them being shifted, because they are level 4 aggressive animals. Can you imagine? I wouldn't want to be attacked by that thing. And that is because, even though they live in Central and South America, they of course are not the biggest things on the block. We have harpy eagles, jaguars, cougars who would happily take them as prey. And so they are extremely aggressive. They also, I don't know if she's going to come all the way out, have a prehensile tail. Are you all done?
Too bad.
I think she's all done. She said, thanks for the snack. Move on. So they do have that prehensile tail, which hopefully will get somebody out all the way so you can see. But what they'll do is wrap that tail around something, and then they bite with really, really sharp teeth, and also really gross teeth that have a lot of bacteria on them. Yeah, so we don't go in with these guys because we appreciate not being bit. So we're gonna come next door to Baxter. Baxter also was a pet. He was living in Asheville, around the Asheville area of North Carolina. We rescued him 2 years ago, about 2 years ago. A family had him, and they had him since he was about 6 weeks old. And then when he reached maturity, sexual maturity around 5 years of age, he became extremely aggressive, which tends to be what happens. He was biting them, no longer letting them hold him or anything like that. And they decided what was best for him was to be in a facility who could take care of him appropriately, which meant not putting hands on him. So one of Baxter's favorite treats is peanut butter.
Hey Katie, real quick, will you explain how we are not in the enclosure? That we are just so, because we've opened up a door, but it is not the door to him.
Yes, so, especially wouldn't leave it open.
Right.
So we're in a safety cage. So the way that this works, we have a double door system here at Carolina Tiger Rescue. So I am not in the enclosure with Baxter. I am simply within the safety cage. So, Catherine, if you want to come in, we open this outside door. We come in. The door to his enclosure is here. It is locked up. You can see he is a level 4 animal, so he has to be shifted before we go in there. And then Wednesday's door is on this side. So we are simply within the safety cage. To open up any of these doors, we would only open one up at a time. We would need to shift them. We would need a keeper, and that door would need to be closed. So we are not going anywhere inside these enclosures. Good call. Thank you. I think I saw Baxter trying to make an appearance. So Baxter is our youngest Kinkajou. So if you remember, Wednesday is 32 years old now. So he is not that old.
I see blanket moving. Oh. Hi.
So here is Baxter. So if you notice too, Kevin's not going to get quite as close because he is quite feisty. But if you can see those claws on there, that is what was declawed on Wednesday. He's also capable of sticking his arms through here, which is why we're not getting as close and why I have this long stick here. Would you like a little more? Keeper said you could have a little more.
Oh.
So we know how cute they are. We understand that, but they are extremely dangerous. We have to put them inside in the winter. And he does not appreciate being inside as much. And we have to give him extra enrichment and provide him with things because he does tend to get a little more aggressive. And you can almost see that prehensile tail sneaking out there. You want a raspberry? We gotta offset some. Well, raspberry's sweet too.
He was a little less eager for that than the peanut butter.
So he's using that tail for balance. We might get a glimpse. There's a glimpse of that prehensile tail. So what he uses that for, what they use that for is an extra limb. So in the wild, they actually eat upside down, and they will eat upside down here as well. You want a little banana? And that's because the fruit hangs down from the tree branches. So he will use that tail to wrap around a tree branch. He'll hang upside down, and he'll eat that fruit so that if it falls, he's able to catch it. Because obviously fruit hangs down versus up. Did you get it the last little bit? Would you like a little banana? Hey, Baxter. Hi. Oh, banana. Save my knees. So if you notice around his enclosure, we'll give him a second to see if he's gonna pop back out for us. It looks a lot different than obviously our cat enclosures. He's got a lot more platforms to hang on. He's gonna spend a lot of his time off the ground. They are foragers, so they will go onto the ground to find different seeds and fruits to eat. But he's got a lot of platforms. He's got a lot of things hanging. And then along the outside, these are what we feed them from. So they don't eat until the very end of the day. We don't feed them before 3:30 because, again, they're nocturnal, so they're up during the night. So it would not be nice to have them feed them all their food this morning. Here he comes. Because then it's gonna, they would switch up their schedule and they wouldn't appreciate that. So we hang their fruit. Sorry.
Oh.
Startled him. So we hang their fruit here. Again, they're foragers, so we will also give them large boxes that they have to grab that food from. Wednesday's got a few others that are a little easier to see. Baxter tends to excuse me, gnaw on the cardboard, so we don't give them as much cardboard. But we'll stuff their food inside of cardboard tubes, paper towel tubes, toilet paper tubes, small boxes. Can you go for a second?
Some of these enrichment items are going to be more complicated, like puzzle feeders. And that is because these guys are really agile. So because they have that ability to climb and are arboreal, they can do a lot of manipulating of things like puzzle feeders. So we have different things that we can give them to make it a little bit more difficult for them to get their food. Again, we do feed them a little bit later at night, a little later in the day, and that way their food is ready for them when they decide to wake up. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, when Wednesday was coming out and talking to us, she kind of began to shake a little bit, like her little ears fluttered, so she got just a little bit shaky. And that is because kinkajous rely almost solely on the sugars that are in their food. So when they wake up, their metabolism has dropped as they were going to sleep. And in order to get it worked back up again, they kind of shake in order to be able to get their metabolism going again and kind of get activated and ready to go. So they will do that when it is 100 degrees outside. They may shake a little bit when they wake up and has nothing to do with being cold. It's just a matter of getting their bodies ready to go again.
Thanks. Sorry. Yes, thank you. So we're going to wander over to see if we can't find Albert. If that works for you. Do you have any questions along the way?
Oh, I had one just a minute ago that now I've forgotten as we were talking and changing up things.
That's what I do best. One of our, we should show off. Wednesday's got a little bench she can sit on. Our construction assistant made that for her. And so again, as I was saying, and I apologize, I had to cut off, but she's got lots of platforms up high. There's of course a roof on top of that enclosure because we want to keep them in. These guys are arboreal. They're going to spend most of their time in their trees. And then I think I see a question, can they run? They can. They're actually pretty quick, which also makes them dangerous. They're not slow like sloths. They are extremely quick. And so that is also why we don't go in with them. They would be on us in no time flat. So yes, they are capable of running, but they're also arboreal, so they're going to hang out mostly up in those trees.
How many kinkajous do we have?
We have 4. We joked that we could have a lot more if we had the space for them. Again, they unfortunately are huge in the pet trade. People think they're cute, which they are. We're not negating the fact that they're cute. They're adorable, but they are extremely aggressive. And so people will get them as pets, tiny babies. They take care of them. They want something to take care of that's exotic and different. And then they go, oh, they'll stay small so they'll be safe. But again, they're extremely aggressive, and people get injured by them. There was a famous heiress named Paris Hilton who had one. And it kept biting her, so she gave it up. So we currently have 4. This is Albert's enclosure. Let's see if we can wake this guy up. Hi! Oh, he's already awake.
I was about to say.
He said, wait a minute, I heard my friends are getting. So they are solitary. They're primarily going to live on their own. If you notice too, he's got those long nails. What I'm hoping at some point is one of them, as they wake up, are going to yawn because their tongue is about 4 to 5 inches long.
Oh, Albert, you did it perfectly. Sorry, he did the tip the head over. I was hoping, yeah, try it one more time.
I got too much stuff in my hands.
So a lot of times when kinkajous are eating, they will tip their heads over. So they're kind of eating upside down, even if their bodies are not upside down. And so what they're trying to do is to make sure that they can grab all the juices out of whatever they're eating. So they don't want to lose any of those juices. So they'll tip their heads kind of upside down as they're chomping away on their fruit. We had a question about why are kinkajous important in the wild?
So they have these really long tongues, which again, I'm hoping that somebody will stick their tongue out at some point so you can see. And they're great pollinators. So they're going to drink the nectar out of the flowers. And as they do that, they're getting pollen on their fur. And they're also getting pollen around their feet and all that. And then as they're going from flower to flower, they're helping to pollinate. They also will tend to eat seeds from the fruits. They'll poop it out, helps fertilize it. And then they're going to help keep, they'll occasionally eat insects. They tend to shy away from small mammals, not to say that they couldn't do it occasionally, but they tend to shy away from that, but they're helping to keep, they'll eat some insects to get that protein and all, which is going to help keep that insect population down as well. Will you come all the way out? What if I put it up here? So if you notice, they don't tend to eat the skin of the banana. He peeled that. Hi. He's like, I don't know if it's worth it. So Albert was actually born here as part of our former breeding program. He is our only kinkajou that was born here. And he's about 20, I think 8 years old, late 20s. And again, these guys can live pretty long in the wild. And it's not a wonder that people think that they're adorable, because they are. But again, it's really important to remember they are aggressive. They are spending the majority of their time outside. If it gets really cold at night, under, 45-ish degrees,
yeah.
Then they're attached to indoor enclosures over there that we can put them in for the night. We actually box them up. There's an inside box inside that den box. We lock them up, take them inside. There is another den box that looks just like that on the inside, and then we'll unshift them inside. We'll spend a night or two inside until it warms up, and then we can let them back outside. They much prefer to be outside. We much prefer them to be outside as well. What do you think, Albert? It's a good night treat. Another raspberry. So what we found with these guys, as they age, they start to mellow out just a little bit. I think Catherine can attest to the fact that this guy used to be extremely aggressive. Not to say he's not aggressive anymore, but we do keep a safe distance from him. As you notice, I am not close enough to that enclosure for him to reach out and grab me. And I'm using, of course, the stick as I would use for the big cats and the small cats out there to keep myself safe and to keep him safe. But as he's aged, and I think we've seen that with Wednesday as well, they tend to mellow out just a little bit. Still extremely dangerous, but he seems to be enjoying the finer points of life at this point. Oh,
are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?
Come on, give us that tongue. He's like, no, that's what you want. Sorry. I was hoping he was going to stick that tongue out.
I know. He was doing his stretch, and normally he does his back stretch and then a great big old tongue sticking out for a yawn.
Will you come up a little further so you can see that tail?
We have a question about whether or not it's legal to breed these animals in the U.S. and in North Carolina.
So, unfortunately, these guys are within... a lot of people don't know about them, so it's going to depend on the state, and unfortunately in North Carolina it's not illegal to have them. I'm hoping you're asking us not to go do it. Come on up. So it is legal in North Carolina to own them at a state level. There are, of course, county laws that prohibit it. Those people tend, if they have one and the authorities find out, typically the authorities will say you need to find a better home for them. You're not allowed to keep them. In some counties, it just requires a permit to have them. But there are no laws that I'm aware of, and I wouldn't quote me on this completely, but there's no laws that I'm aware of as far as breeding these guys. The unfortunate thing is that they are smaller. They are easier to, I say conceal. A lot of people who are breeding them aren't trying to hide them. They're just a little easier to keep because they are smaller. But, oh, see how quick he went back in his bin box. Turned around, he's gone. But unfortunately, there's no laws against it that I'm aware of, except in certain states where they've made it illegal across the board to own exotic species.
How big do Kinkajous get full grown?
Good question. Our smallest one is Lola, who's about 5 pounds. And then I would say he's probably our biggest one, which he's probably about 8 pounds. So they don't get a whole lot bigger than him. Between 8 and 9 pounds would be about the largest. They eat between, I think Lola gets the least amount because she is the smallest, at about half a pound of fruit and veg each day, and then these guys are about 3/4 of a pound. And again, because they're foragers, it's not like the big cats or any of our cats where we're just giving them their meat. We are spreading it out. They have at least 15 different pieces of enrichment, which is from yesterday. Last night is all scattered out, so there was food in here. There's food in that small box over there that he's torn up, so we want to make them work for it. So these guys are a little different in that we feed them every day because they are foragers. So if you remember, we don't feed our cats every day because in the wild they wouldn't necessarily be able to catch their prey every day. These guys are going to be able to find fruit every single day. It's not like fruit runs and hides from them. So they're going to spend most of their nights looking for fruit and foraging for it. So these guys and our Coatimundi Meccano get to eat every single day because they would in the wild. So that makes them a little bit different. They're actually members, I've neglected to tell you, they look like they would be part of the primate family or lemurs, but they are actually part of the raccoon family, which makes them super interesting. And so are the Coatimundi. So if you go onto our website, we probably won't get a chance to see Meccano again. He's 15 and he's slowing down quite a bit, and he lives inside at this point to keep an eye on him. But if you go on our website, check out Kinkajous and Coatimundi. They're both related to the raccoons, which is super interesting and super fun because they look very different. They do again have those carnassial teeth. You're probably going, why would you have Kinkajous at a cat rescue? They are members of the carnivore family because of those carnassial teeth, although they do have evolved to primarily eat fruit. Other questions?
We had somebody who just wanted to ask if you're too close to the enclosure.
Am I too close? No, not at this point. I will move them. But his arm is a lot smaller, so I am keeping an eye on him. I know exactly where he is as well. He's in his den box. I always have my eye on him. He's munching on... oh no, it looks like he's cleaning his face. So I would not be this close to a cat enclosure for sure, but I know how long that arm is, and I've got a close eye on him. But I appreciate you helping keep me safe.
Can these guys be released back into the wild?
They cannot. So these guys have never lived in the wild. And although they primarily are foragers and will probably do okay, they're too used to humans. And that would make it dangerous for them. There's also, they're limiting their space and losing their space out in the wild as far as their habitat. And so there's not a lot of space for them to go out there either. So typically any wild animal that's been around humans and has been conditioned to know that humans bring them food are not going to be able to be released, because if if he was to be released out in the wild, couldn't find his food, he'd go find a human, and that would be extremely dangerous for him. All right, so we're so glad that you could join us this morning and meet 3 out of our 4 Kinkajous. Again, Lola is less than pleased with most everything, which is her right. We, again, will not be doing a live tomorrow morning, but we will be back on Friday feeding some cats. We will certainly get a tiger in there. I don't know which one yet. We'll have to check with the keepers to see who that will be. But your activity today is to make a bird feeder, because birds are also foragers. And so I want you to go out and make a bird feeder for your local birds. There will be directions online for that shortly. And we appreciate you tuning in with us, and we will see you Friday. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks.